This is Hello Chaos, the podcast about the ups and downs and highlights and low points of entrepreneurship, where we try to have candid conversations with founders about where they are in their journey and hopefully share some things that can either get you forward, you can learn something that you can take with you, or at least just know that you're not alone. I am Jennifer Oladipo, or Jen-O.
And I am Jennifer Sutton, just Jen, or some people call me JJ is my nickname. But yeah, we're here today with a guest in our studio, Erin Mehagan with Livi Lou Lain. Very excited. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
I'm very excited. Thank you.
And as we started exploring kind of your entrepreneur journey and your innovation story, we like to get we want to hear the ahas and the oh shits. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those oh shits turn into ahas, or the ahas become the oh shits.
We've had some people say they're one and the same occasionally.
So that's kind of where we want to talk about. But let's just start out. Tell us, give us that 30-second little elevator speech of your journey.
Yes. It's been quite the journey. I'll say that for sure. Essentially, Livi Lou Lain is a company, it's a brand that we design intimates and soon-to-be swimwear for women who have experienced breast tissue volume loss and are unhappy with the size or shape of their breasts. And so everything started from a personal need. For me, I have 3 kids, nursed each one for a year, and my running joke to my husband was that all the money we were saving on formula was going straight to my boob job after we were done having kids. And I did meet with a plastic surgeon, but as it turned out, it just wasn't a good fit for me. Surgery can be a great option for some women. It's not the solution for all women. Mm-hmm. And I was really frustrated that was my only option to getting my shape back and to fill out my bras and clothes like I used to. What was happening was the bras I was used to wearing had a big gap between my skin and my bra. But when I went down to a cup size to eliminate the gaps, I lost my shape in my clothing, and I felt really uncomfortable, and I was self-conscious, and I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good about myself.
Yeah.
And so when surgery wasn't an option, I then began down a whole, rabbit hole of what to do next.
Was there anything there that were products?
No.
No products.
No, and believe me, I searched the entire internet. I mean, I sat and I searched and I searched and I searched, and I couldn't find anything that could help me. And I kind of, ended up Frankensteining, some sort of, I took
like your own little prototype?
Yes, I 100% did. Kind of I never thought of it as a prototype. I more thought of it as like an interim, stopgap solution for me until I figured out what to do ultimately. Yeah. I just wanted to fill out my bras and clothes like I used to. And I was frustrated that I couldn't do that quickly and easily. So what I ended up doing is I found just kind of, breast forms that you would sew into a prom dress or a wedding dress or something, so you wouldn't have to wear a bra, and I put them into my bra so I could fill them out like I used to. But when I was walking out of Target one day, one of the forms was sticking out of my tank top. And I about died.
Well, also think about, like you said, you're getting into swimwear.
Yeah.
Like, there's very little options.
Swimwear, we get a lot of requests for swimwear. We did not set out with that intention, but the number of requests we receive.
That's when you're most vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerable and visible. I mean, it's already like a whole thing.
Right.
Even people who have air quotes here, perfect bodies, don't always feel comfortable, getting out there. How did you go from, so when did you said at the time it wasn't a prototype. So when did it go from I'm solving this problem for myself to I'm going to help other people solve this problem, and then and it could be a business?
Yeah, I would say that would have been my first aha moment, was that it hit me in an instant, just like a ton of bricks. It went from, oh my gosh, I saw it. I saw the whole thing. I saw a brand that would empower women, that would help them feel beautiful again, that would revive their confidence, just the way that I needed it. Yeah. And I knew I wasn't the only person struggling with this, and I knew that there had to be other women that were looking for a solution, or just struggling silently, and not, even if they weren't searching for a solution, they just didn't feel good, and they didn't have that confidence.
Didn't even know where to seek, or you're right, it's probably not an easy conversation to even have.
Right.
I mean,
totally. It's very personal, right?
Yeah.
It's very personal.
I mean, I went through the same thing, and it wasn't until I heard of your company that I even considered, like, why isn't that a thing? Because there's stuff, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't do what you're, trying to accomplish.
Right. There's plenty of push-up bras on the market.
Right.
That's a standard. Lots of different brands have push-up bras, but I describe my bra as a bra you fill up, not a push-up bra.
Fill-up bra,
yes.
not a
yeah, fill up.
Yeah.
And fill up whether it's one side or the other to
for sure
make you get back to the shape you want, right?
Correct.
So in that moment, then what? Then you were like, okay, I've got an idea.
Right. Well, I was incredibly naive, right? Like you think that coming up with the idea is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Did you go QVC?
Yeah,
Victoria's Secret.
Pretty soon HSN is going to be calling me.
My
and it's
idea?
gonna be, right. Yeah.
I got you, Target. Here we go.
I honestly thought that coming up with that, great idea was going to be the most difficult part of this journey. And yeah, exactly.
How long ago was that?
That was in 2016.
So this is a journey.
Yes, this has been a very, very long journey. And what I didn't understand initially was how difficult it was to manufacture and create an underwire bra. So I pretty much picked the worst product to start with as the starting off in a new business venture.
Now, how did you learn that? Like, what was the first phone call when you said, okay, I've got this idea?
Well, how it was explained to me was that if you had an idea for a terrific pair of jeans or some leggings or t-shirt or jacket or something, jeans have 8 different parts to it, from the seam, the zipper, stitching or whatever. And an underwire bra has 34 to 36 different elements to it, and it requires specific manufacturing equipment, and it's just really, really complicated to make.
Whoa.
Yes. And so I contacted.
They're so expensive.
Right. There you go. It all makes much more sense now. And so I contacted 3 different companies that I researched and that worked with small fashion brands starting out, and one of them flat out told me no. One of them in California told me that they've done one underwire bra project and they will never do it again because it was so hard.
Wow.
And
even and they were inspired by your idea and everything, they were just like,
no, yeah.
And that didn't, okay, so when you're hearing people be like, this is a really difficult thing, I mean, did that make you question yourself or try to think differently about what you might do?
Not really. I was so convicted in this idea and the impact that it could have for a woman, and I think that that's just because I experienced it firsthand myself and know intimately how important that was to my self-confidence, that I just kept on going, naively or not. I just, you just like, okay, thank you very much, and you pick up the phone and you call the next company.
There's got to be somebody out there.
There's got to be somebody, right? I'm not the first person that is going to try to do this endeavor. There's got to be somebody out there.
Right.
So I started working with a company in Minnesota. Unfortunately, that did not turn out like I thought it was going to. And so,
what do you mean?
Why?
I'm grateful because they were willing to take on the project. They did not have the experience necessary in order to get me to a viable prototype and design that I could then take to a manufacturer. So I ended up wasting a lot of time and a lot of money on trying to get to a point, and then realizing we were never going to get there, or we were just burnt spinning our wheels.
Was it more of a the progress wasn't happening the way you wanted it, or literally they were unable? They would give you a product and you're like, that is not it.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I was like, that's nowhere near the level of quality or.
So it was like a shabby.
Yeah. That I knew that it was going to be a very rough prototype, but I still was not
something you could move forward.
Yeah.
With. Yeah. Gosh. So how did you deal with that? Because I'm imagining you invested a lot in just getting to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's defeating for sure. Luckily, my husband has always been incredibly supportive. He found out, after that first aha moment, he found out about the idea about 20 seconds after it came to me. I ran to him with one of the, bras that I had, stitched the stuffing into. And I was like, this should be a thing. This should exist. We should make this. And he said, I love it. Do it. It was just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was very supportive, and, he was frustrated too, but there was, it is what it is. all we can do is learn from those mistakes early on and go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you did get
Your prototype.
Yeah, the people. How did you
Yeah.
move from there and get the people that could?
And did you vet them differently?
Yeah.
I did. I specifically looked for someone with experience in intimates, which was a crucial element.
Okay.
And I found a woman who had spent her career in intimates and intimates design, who then started her own sort of small design agency, helping small brands and small swimwear brands.
And where
get
was
started.
that?
She was in Chicago when I started working with her, and now she's in California.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
And she's been awesome, and she brought all of the experience and connections needed that I did not have.
Yeah.
And that was able to make my idea into an actual product.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about that. What were the pieces that you needed? Did you even know you needed those pieces that she brought you?
No, not really, because similar to when you design a house, you need an architect to do the plans for the house, and then the plans then go to the contractor or the general manager contractor to make the house happen.
Mm-hmm.
You need a design for a manufacturer to create a bra, and it's called a tech pack. And so she was able to, through conversations and images and pictures, and she was able to design the tech pack and create it, and then we were able to send it to a manufacturer who then made the prototype, and we started making
did you
changes
know what a
from
tech
there.
pack was?
No,
I'd
absolutely
never
not.
heard
Absolutely
that
not.
when she was like, "What's your tech pack?" And you're
Yes.
like,
I was like,
I don't-
I'm sorry, can you explain that to me? Googled everything,
Yeah.
you Google everything you can and try to, just not sound completely ignorant, but yes.
Does that always work?
Right, I doubt it. I'm sure she saw straight through me. This girl's trying to sound like she knows what she's talking about. but
did she
really
believe
doesn't.
in did she go, wow, this is an idea? I mean, did she come in as like a shared vision, or was it more of like, hey, I have a service for you, but was there a joined vision?
I think she is. She's extremely talented, and I think she is a champion for women in general, and just really smart design and comfortable design, and design where you can live in, and it makes you feel good. I'm not sure. We never had a conversation on this whole if it was a new direction for intimates.
Mm-hmm.
But she's been absolutely integral to our growth.
But you recognized already that she was the right person.
Absolutely.
Because it was about just more than fashion. It was about
Absolutely.
comfort and
Women empowerment.
living.
Yes, and
yeah.
she completely understands the how different nuances and adding fabric here, or choosing this sort of mesh fabric here, how that could impact the comfort and flexibility. She knew all of that information that has been really valuable to the design.
And so then you got into the manufacturing process and sent this tech pack to, how many manufacturers did you shop?
She actually handled all the relationships and
Oh, wow.
vetting of the
Okay.
manufacturer, because she had all the relationships from her career in intimates to know who to reach out to and the contacts. And so thankfully she's managed all those relationships
that's
and
great.
everything. Yes, so that's been
Awesome
that's
partner.
been great too. Yes, yes.
Who else
Fantastic.
has been really helpful on the way?
I've fantastic friends and family for support. Since the journey has been so long without, there's been progress along the road, but there hasn't, from 2016 till our launch in 2021, that's a long time for doubts to sink in and for you to question your direction, or, question yourself or your ability. So luckily I've had terrific support systems in place that could help me and be a cheerleader for me when I am really down. And then recently, being a part of the GVL Starts program, Next, working with people at the SBDC have been really helpful as far as just tangible, giving me tangible resources and information and direction for us to
What
go
did
to.
SBDC do for you specifically? What were those tangible?
And just to clarify for folks who don't know, that's the Small Business Development Center,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
that's a government, federally funded program, but they have locations in just about
every
every
city.
community.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So specifically working on financial models and modeling out, projections for where you think your sales are going to be in 3 to 5 years, which would help plan for revenue and fundraising, how much money we're going to need for making sure our cash flow is in place.
Yeah.
All of that stuff
Important.
is completely right, extremely important, but completely foreign to me. And so having someone be like, here's where you start. You know, you start working on this, fill it out, and then come back and we'll work through it together.
Okay.
And then a detailed business plan. You know, of course, I don't know how many business plans I've downloaded online. You know, you fill out, and it's one-page business plan, and you follow the steps, and you fill it out. But having someone that's like, no, actually, if you're going to the bank for a small business loan, this is the information that they want to know. And having that, you know, structure for you to follow is just really helpful.
Yeah.
Because lots of times when you're starting out, I mean, you don't even know what to Google. You don't even know what you don't know, so you don't know where to start.
Right.
So when I think about, you know, your questions about what would be helpful or what, as somebody that's starting a business, you know, if there was a place where there is that aggregates information, you know, where you can go and you know that you can have all the information in one spot for what you need.
Jennifer, if only
there was fun information.
Just like totally focused on entrepreneurs where it was like help them find stuff and get shit done.
And we said it's not just an aggregator. We need an aggregator that is also a navigator.
Gosh.
To help because
Well,
there's a lot of aggregators there, but they don't help.
And it's tricky to understand which one is going to be useful at your certain time.
Right.
Yes.
Because some resources that are available are not necessarily appropriate for someone who is an early started venture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and some are more appropriate for after you've been in market for a few years, or you've had, you know, generating revenue for 5 years, or you're, you know,
or some are tech focused versus some that are more open. So yeah, like how do you look at your local community? Go, where should I go?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And within my stage, or where am I going to feel most to get the most out of it?
Yes, and I feel like I wasted a lot of time and energy thinking that I wasn't ready for. I can't call them, or I can't reach out to that organization. You know, I'm not in that.
Yeah.
I'm not ready yet, or my business isn't ready yet. We're not big enough yet. I can't reach out to them.
So what was it you thought you needed before you could get some formal help?
I thought we needed. I thought I needed more established a team in place. I thought I needed to have larger revenue, higher sales. I thought that having more traction in the market and more brand awareness. I didn't see us ready to initiate. I didn't know that there were organizations that could help some companies that were as early stage as we were.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you've entered, and you saw the other cohorts, where where were you, you know, in comparison to your other cohorts? Were you further along? Were you a more advanced, or were you guys all in that same, you know, level?
That was one thing that I thought was cool about our cohort, was that there was people in all different stages of an early start, right? Because there's still just, I've just been kicking around this idea, you know, I've actually been working on this for close to 6 years, and we've been marketing for a year, but I'm still very much early stage, you know? So that's what I think was really cool, was that it was valuable to all different stages. You know, the value that you'd glean from a speaker may be different depending on what stage you were at in your venture, but you'd still find value, and you still at least knew that, okay, once I get to this point, I'm going to need to think about this, or I'm going to need to plan for this.
Or your questions might have sparked somebody's
Absolutely.
help for if they just walked in with a Post-it note versus you're walking in with like a full market plan, plan going. I'm still
a year of sales behind
you.
Yes,
Yeah, because that's what we see in a lot of the cohorts. It's even at early stage, it is a
broad range.
There are people that have been in business for 10, 15 years that still feel like a startup.
And everybody's early in a different way.
Yes, right.
You know, so it's some people know the financials, some people don't. Some people know the marketing, some people are early there. Some people know their product but have no idea how to make it a business.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So you were talking about before we got on here, and I was like, you know, so like just like where's your, you know, where are you at right now? Where are things with you? And you were saying that like you feel like you've gotten momentum. So just like talk about how how do you identify it as momentum? You know, how do you know that like, okay, this is happening, and what's that feel like? And, you know?
I would describe it as a feeling. I don't think that there hasn't been, you know, a dramatic jump in sales or anything like that, but I would say that, you know, right now we are not planning for tomorrow's sale. We're planning for the sale 3 to 5 years from now. You know, we're more focused on building the brand and building what this company will be versus what it is right now, and which comes with its challenges too, because you kind of have to do both. You have to plan and prepare and do everything to make sure that you are staying afloat, and you can't just only plan for 5 years from now. You have to, you know, somehow manage to do both. But I do feel from the resources we've been connected to recently, just the influx of energy and support and encouragement from others has been just phenomenal and so exciting.
So what's been your biggest aha moment through your 6, 7 year, 8 year journey now? 6 year journey.
Yeah, 6 years. I would say
math.
Yeah, it's fine. So I think aside from the initial like lightning bolt, this is what you're supposed to do. You know, that moment. I would say after I had, you know, ruled plastic surgery as an option for me, I had tried to really commit myself to positive thinking. You know, really tell myself, you know, your body is beautiful, you know, embrace the new you. You know, it grew 3 humans, it kept them fed for their first year of life. You know, just, you know, try to love the body that you have now. And I just couldn't do it. And I could not shake the feeling of being uncomfortable and not feeling confident in my clothing. And I really struggled with that, and I feel like it amplified this downward spiral of negative body image that I was in. But I came across a quote that said, "It's one thing to tell her she is beautiful, but it's another thing to make her feel it too." And that sort of became the marching cry for the company, because it explained so much of what I was feeling, that, you know, people could tell me I looked beautiful, and I could repeatedly tell myself the same thing, but I didn't feel beautiful. And if you don't feel beautiful, and lots of times it doesn't even matter what you're wearing. You could feel beautiful in yoga pants and a sweatshirt, or you could feel in a ball gown. But if you don't feel beautiful, it doesn't really matter what other people are going to tell you or what you tell yourself. You have to feel it. And so that quote was just like, oh, yes, that's why I was struggling. That makes total sense. And it kind of put into words what I was feeling.
And then there's also that aspect of empowering yourself, like to define beautiful for yourself, right? Because I think that's part of why it doesn't work for just someone else to say it. You have to be like, well, I feel like this is beautiful, and it's my definition, and I want to feel like whatever that is. And I think that's one of the really cool things about what you're doing is it lets you define, I mean, literally like the shape of beauty for you, you know, and it's not just like, okay, here's a product that it pushes it here or presses it down there, or you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, it's just like you get to decide
That's right.
what's beautiful or what's comfortable or what feels like you.
What makes you feel good? Yes, well, 100%. And I have 3 girls, and so I am very conscious of the messages that this company puts out, and very conscious of what I say around my girls, because I know what they're exposed to outside, and I know the messages that they're going to hear from the world about their body and how they should look. And so I always want our message to be, you know, you can look however you want to look, but let it be your choice. You are the one that needs to decide that. Don't let anybody else tell you, or don't let anybody else influence you, or don't let anyone try to tell you what you should be or how you should look. You know, that should be you, and you are the only person that should decide that.
And if they don't find something on the market, they can come up with the idea.
Exactly.
It can be a product extension of Livi Lou Lain. Now you have to admit, like, so Livi, where'd the name come from?
Yes, so it's named after my 3 girls. Olivia is my oldest, so that's where Livi comes from, and Louise is her middle name, so that's where Lou is, and then Piper Elaine is my youngest, so that's where Lane comes from. It's Livi Lou Lain.
Have you always been like so comfortable putting your personal story into the business, or is that something that you had to, I don't know, was that like a branding decision along the way? Because it is so personal. You're naming it after your kids. That's not, I mean, a lot of people do that, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
It was something I never actually consciously thought about. Actually, I don't think and it's funny you say that, because I think hearing other people before Livi Lou Lain, I think I'd hear other people's personal stories and be like, man, I can't believe they're saying that. You know, like, wow, they're putting all of it out there.
That's right.
And then, but now in doing this, I understand why people do it. It's because they believe so passionately about what they're doing, and that their message has value, and that they can reach people who are hurting and can help people. And that to me trumps any uncomfortableness that I would feel, because I know how I felt, and I know how low that point was. And so if I can help or stop someone from feeling that same way too, everything will be worth it.
So that's what you focus on when you have to go into a room with 50 men.
Yes.
And talk about your
And
boobs.
talk about your But that's good focus. You know, I mean, just to wash that other junk, because I'm sure that's difficult. And I've watched you go into a room, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure I would have the gumption.
Right.
And I'm like, I love her. She's like up there and in front of all these men.
Yeah.
But then they all start nod along going, and then you start seeing the aha moments of, I wonder if my loved ones are dealing with this.
Yeah. And I've had a couple of men, secretly or, email me, actually my wife's complained about this too. They some men have experienced it, obviously not firsthand, but they've seen women in their life struggle with, having a positive body image, or, the changes to a woman's body that are inevitable, that there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, so it's funny when you meet someone, you tell them what you do, and I think usually the guy's eyes will get really big about I was not expecting you to say that. But you talk to a woman and they're like, oh yeah, I get it.
Totally.
Like there's no you don't even need an explanation or like defining what the problem is. They're like, yep.
And then they go, I might need another drink or something.
Right, exactly. They're looking to exit this.
They start
the
backing away.
Yes.
The body language.
Or how to navigate the conversation without offending someone. Like they don't want to. They're kind of worried about what they're gonna say, or like
because they're like, oh my gosh, she's talking about boobies.
Right.
Yeah. But she's talking about hers.
Yeah.
I know.
My wife's or whoever, my sisters.
But they're all, because I hear
boobies,
and then and they start like slowly walking away.
Yep.
You're connecting with a whole new, or not new community of people, but maybe like a hidden community because by building a business, you also build a platform for the conversation. Like that's one of my favorite things about, some businesses, especially that are like very personal and passion based. It's like you create a space to talk about something.
Absolutely. I think that's where I envision this brand going, is we're creating this space and creating this community to have a conversation and to shed light on the importance of how a woman feels about herself, not projecting what that should be, but just giving them space to decide. Because I firmly believe that by giving women more options, that you are giving them the ability and empowering them to make the best decision for themselves. If the best decision for you is surgery, fantastic. You should absolutely go do that. If the best decision for you or best is to embrace your new body and whatever that is, you should absolutely do that. But if you don't fall into one of those two scenarios,
here's an option.
This could be an option for you. And I feel like that gives women an opportunity to find whatever it is that's going to make them feel good. If it's mine, great. If not, I hope you find it. And I hope that we're creating a conversation that gives, I don't want to say.
Normalize it.
Yeah, normalizes it. Not that we give someone permission to go do that, but it just normalizes the opportunity to, I am going to make that choice because that's what makes me feel good. So that's it.
Yeah. And I didn't even know this product existed before, and now, it is an option that's out there. So what's next? I mean, so you've got all this momentum.
Yeah.
And meetings, I guess.
Yes.
And people interested in your business and your platform.
Yeah.
Is that exciting for you?
So
Is that
exciting.
Scary for you? Like what?
Oh, well, yes, of course. But we've got a lot of new products coming out, which is exciting. We're developing new products. We're about to launch new inserts. We were in our inserts with our first launch were gel-filled inserts, and these are going to be kind of a water oil-filled one, which gives a little bit more of a natural
like
shape
bounce.
and feel to it. And it adds a little bit more volume, and we're also going to have 3 different levels. So instead of just 2, we'll have 3 different levels and options for women to choose from based on their own, personal tissue loss experience, and also, what the volume that they desire to, along with, new bra styles. We only have 1 bra style right now, and so I'd love to, have a non-underwire option, some bralettes, or, we want more options.
Right.
More colors, more sizes, more.
Is that coming organically, so like through self-funding of you're putting a percentage back of your sales into the company, or is this like you're going out and having to get loans, or are you doing the a VC kind of venture route? Like, because I'm just knowing I'm a founder, and when you say that, I'm like,
yes.
That's money. That's
capital.
money. That's money.
Yes.
That's money.
Yes. And especially with, retail and e-commerce, a lot of that is an upfront investment.
Yeah.
For design and development and production.
That's right.
You put all the money, and then the sales come afterwards. So it is a total, and you're guessing, right? You're guessing on what sizes people are going to want. So how many quantities of, certain sizes should you order? So we are not to the VC stage yet, but we're probably to the business loan stage, which is exciting.
Is that the path that you want to go on, as more of a, like, give up shares of your business, or are you trying to keep it so that you retain ownership? Because that's, again,
I know, it's a big decision.
There's not a right or wrong.
Right.
It's really where your comfort zone, your comfort path is, but just curious. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we will look to make that decision when we have to make that decision.
Yeah.
I try. There's so many times where I find myself, stressed out and worried about things and I have to talk myself back off the ledge. Erin, do not worry about how to pay employees health insurance right now. We don't need to worry about that yet. Let's worry about the problems that you have today, and then focus on those problems when they come. Because I think there's, a spiral of everything you can think of and get worried and stressed out about and not know how to handle.
That's
but
right.
you actually don't need to handle it at that time. So just attack the problems of today, or the most immediate, and then, move on to the next layer of things that you need to make decisions on.
That's fine. We've heard that from a couple of other entrepreneurs that are like, do I think out,
right.
No, just like, this is what I'm going to focus on today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just get the thing
it's
in
good
front of you.
advice of just, don't worry about, well, I call them little ghosts, that can really gnaw at you and chew at you, and they're because they're invisible. They're invisible naysayers that sit on your shoulder. They're ghosts of, and sometimes you have to go, shut up, ghosts, like, go away.
Enough.
Enough. I hear you. I know that problem's going to arise, but I'm not going to deal with that right now because I've got these 100 other things that have my immediate attention.
These fires need to be put out first. Then we can move on to that one.
All right.
Yes.
Like their childhood selves, and they're like, what was that dream I had when I was a kid? And like, that's valid, whatever that personal thing was that maybe didn't mean anything to anybody else, but that's really important to be like, after you get in the muck of everything, like, no, there is like a real drive, and there was that spark.
What was that purpose?
Yeah, because it's so easy to get lost in the day-to-day everything.
And I think that's what everyone wishes for and hopes for, right? Is that they find that area in their life where they feel that purpose, or where they feel that spark and that motivation and that drive to feel like what you're doing matters.
Yeah.
I think everyone hopes for and wishes for that part.
What do you do to keep like that being fed? Like, how do you keep that focus? Is that, do you do like yoga or like I'm a yoga, or is like, do you have somebody, do you have like a group or 1 or 2 people or a group of people in your life that maintain that focus for you, or you self?
Yeah, I'm a yoga dropout. I'm a failure at meditation. Like, I don't know how many times I've committed to meditating and still cannot get my act together to make it a consistent habit for me. I absolutely have tremendous support in my husband that I feel like I can share, my fears and doubts. And then I also feel like I have, I think that there's been, I think that you can have mentors and people that teach you things that you that they don't know that they're your mentor.
Oh,
and so
totally.
you've listened to them and you've read their books and you've absorbed almost everything that they've ever said. And
you're like Brené Brown.
Brené Brown.
We're on, she's my bestie.
I don't know, listen to all of her books. But
I
really,
comment on her social.
Yes.
We're besties like that.
but for real, like there was, I don't remember which one of the books that she wrote, but she said something about, because some of the doubts that you have is like,
Oh, was
I'm
Brené
too
Brown
old.
yours?
Absolutely.
Oh, I was laughing.
She's one of them.
That's one that I'm not kidding.
No.
I comment on her social all the time. I'm like, if she just likes this comment, I will feel
I will die. Yes, but one of the things, because one of the doubts that you have is you're like, I'm too old, which is ridiculous. But you think like, if I was going to start a company, I should have done it, in my 20s,
yeah.
right? Like anything in your 20s
Right.
anyways.
Yeah.
But she says, you're going to get older anyways. Why not? That's going to happen regardless. So
That's right.
go back to school if that's what to pursue your passion. Go after that dream that you have, because it doesn't matter how old you are now. You're going to get older,
Yeah.
and
It's not going to stop.
It's not going to stop, and then you're going to be older and then still not have pursued your dream. So
Right.
you should do it when you feel, that push to go do it. And I think that there's, all these different experiences or podcasts or books that have come into my life that have kept me from falling off the track and keeping me focused and pushing forward.
Mm-hmm.
And she's one of them, and there's a whole host of others
Yeah.
that
Well,
are
hopefully
there.
this one will be.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes.
So I'm curious about more of like a business technical or business, I guess, strategy question, which is where are you finding the different, avenues for either partnerships or marketing? Because right after, learning about your product and hearing you on the stage when you were accepting that prize from the next Launchpad, and being like, oh yeah, my boobs. I also thought about my friends who we've had, unfortunately, multiple friends in the past 3 years deal with cancer, with breast cancer, and mastectomies and all that kind of thing. And so I was just curious about, like, is that something that you're putting energy into creating relationships, or are people coming to you from that community? Just curious about that kind of thing, and any others as well.
Yes, we've had several conversations with individuals where either they've experienced a lumpectomy or mastectomy and have not found a solution that they've felt great about. We're reluctant to market to that audience because I know how sensitive that topic is. So I would want to bring in somebody who has experience or intimately knows how to navigate that conversation, because I don't want to be flippant with that at all, because I know how traumatizing, just from loved ones that have gone through it as well, that I want to be very intentional about speaking to those women in particular. We've actually had a lot of conversations with explant patients who have had their implants removed for various health reasons, and just even though that's something that they want and they're embracing, the shock of going from one size down in their clothing was pretty dramatic, and so having something that helps them fill out their clothes a little bit more has helped in that transition.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then also women who are asymmetrical, where they, in order to balance their look, you can add in one insert to one size, and then their look is balanced in clothing. So, yes.
That's interesting.
So those are all different audiences and groups of women that we didn't set out set out as an intention of speaking with, but as, we've been in the market, what we're hearing from customers and, feedback.
Yeah, so they're finding you.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I wonder how many other, like, different sort of communities or issues or problems that you can help solve that'll just appear.
Right, that's exciting. And that's what I hope by creating a community and creating a space to have those conversations, we'll organically discover them, or we'll start to, reach those women who are feeling this pain point too that we maybe didn't realize, but who will find value from this as well.
Right.
Did you have to make a lot of decisions about your messaging? I mean, it's not I wouldn't call it a sensitive topic, because if it's your issue, it sounds like it's only sensitive to maybe men who are just like, I don't
uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But because you just mentioned not wanting to be flippant with certain issues, and then finding new people to speak to. So, like, what kinds of decisions have you had to make about how you talk about who you're for and who you are?
Certainly, I definitely, and we're very specific about the women that we use, the images that we use too. We want them to be representative of all different kinds of women, shapes, sizes, colors, whatever we want there. And I don't want there to be any, I'm not looking to talk to younger audiences. Like I want them to, I'm very conscious of, I don't want to impress any ideas into their heads of what their body should be like or why they should change their bodies, or I don't want them to get the impression that how they are right now is not enough. So I think we're very sensitive to the words, the images, the messages that we put out, because I don't want them to be contrived in a different way.
Right. So like you're saying you're trying to avoid messaging that's like you can fix yourself kind of thing.
It's all about how you feel.
Yeah.
And if this makes you feel good, if this helps with your confidence, if you are hating how this happened, this might be something that could help you feel better.
And at the same time, if I have kids, my body will evolve, which shouldn't be a bad message. It should be a real, normal message.
Yeah, right.
To communicate of, if you have children.
Yep.
Right. There's only billions of us dealing with that.
It's
your
not
body
possible
is
to
not going.
It's not possible to expand and contract that many times and it go back to the way it was before. Right.
And so here's solutions for when that happens.
Yes.
Or just
if you're not happy with
those
what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And not just, but I think you've even talked about some of the older women that just, maybe it's not from child, but just, or childbearing, it's more from hormones.
Yeah.
Just aging.
Yeah.
In
As
general.
we really hit the genetics lottery.
Yeah.
There's, just natural, our decline of estrogen as we age causes our breast tissue to, become less.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it
Well,
happens.
that explains a whole lot.
Right. Yeah. Weight fluctuations. We've had customers who have had, experienced a lot of a dramatic weight loss.
Yeah.
That have, all of a sudden you're a completely different size than what you used to, and you're no longer comfortable in what your new size is.
Right.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. So, okay, today is Monday. What does your week ahead look like?
Week ahead, let's see. I have 2 coffee meetings. What's Up Greenville, What's Brewing Greenville on Wednesday morning.
Oh, so that's another podcast?
It's a really cool group. It's a really cool group. Meets once a month, open to anybody, and they usually have 2 speakers that sort of talk about their business, pitch their business, and it's really an opportunity to get input from the community. So like, hey, I've been, here's my business. This is where we're at right now. I'm really struggling with this point or these 2 things. Does anybody have any ideas on how I could, approach this problem or solve this issue, or and lots of times there's just people from all different industries and backgrounds in the room that can just chime in and be like, hey, well, have you thought about this? Or I've got a connection, I can put you in touch with so-and-so that might be able to help you. So that's really, really cool too.
Cool.
So that's on Wednesday morning. And then actually on Thursday, we were flying up to me and my husband are flying up to Minneapolis, Minnesota for the weekend to visit friends.
Oh,
I'm originally from North Dakota.
Fun,
so
good.
I was like, she is not from the South.
Right. Usually that's what I get. I was like, I don't know where you're from, but I know you're not from the South. Right.
Well, good for you to have fun because you're at that point where so many people, you just like, I've got this momentum and stuff is coming in. It would be so easy to just like go down a rabbit hole and not enjoy things. So was it hard to like decide to go take a vacation, or
for sure, and you feel guilty for taking and I'm going to be working every second on the airplane, trying to maximize all the free time that I have. But I do think it's important just to have that mental break too, because it's so easy to get burnt out and just the constant, it's just everything is so constant.
Your brain doesn't turn off.
It doesn't, and I think that was a surprising aspect of launching this business, is that in my career before, you'd finish a project or you'd do something, you did a trade show, and then it was done and you celebrate till the next thing, or you could at least take a breath and like wait till the next thing. But you are constantly thinking about what you're going to do and what problems you're going to solve and how you're going to do this, and I forgot to email this person. I mean, it is so constant and nonstop that it can really be oppressive. I don't know to describe describe it.
It's wearing.
Yes, it is.
Wears,
And if you don't have a way to take a breath, have a release, whatever it is for you to recharge, I don't know how you could. I don't think that's healthy, and I don't think you'll ultimately make it. It'll just wear you down until you break and you can't.
Yeah.
You end up in an institution or something. I don't know.
Or you give up,
It's
you
just
look
too
at
much.
the stats of just startups that don't make it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot, small businesses, some like, 50, 60%.
Oh, it's scary.
Yeah.
It is a scary figure.
Don't last the first year,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just dwindles.
After
three years, 5 years, it just, those numbers just keep dwindling. So yeah, it's that's why. It's the burnout.
Yes.
It's the, you know what, never mind. That wasn't a great idea. You got to give it a lot of gumption.
And most days I'm running around like my hair's on fire trying to get everything done between when I drop my kids off at school and from when they get off the bus at 2:30. That time that's about, and I try to, when they get home to spend some time with them before then going back to my work too. So but then they've got activities too that you got to run them around too. So it's just, it's a lot in a day. But I don't think it's any different. I think everybody deals with those struggles too, in the work-life balance and making sure I don't think anybody has enough hours in their day for what they all want to get done.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what's been the biggest, oh shit moment in your journey?
Oh gosh. There's been a lot. I think our biggest one, probably for a lot of people, was when COVID hit. We were, it was before launch and we were trying to navigate. So I was trying to hold, a fitting party with my friends, bring everybody over to my house and try on samples and sizes and get their feedback, in the midst of nobody getting together and people feeling uncomfortable being in crowds. And so trying to make sure people felt comfortable, but still trying to get that input and that feedback for our product. And then there was the whole, when in COVID people were home and most women were excited to not even wear a bra, and here I am trying to convince them to buy an underwire bra. So that was like,
you want to look good in your work
really?
clothes, right?
Really? Right now, COVID, like worldwide pandemic now. And then too, the school stopped for my kids too. So I'm trying to launch a business and grow a business while trying to teach 2nd and 4th grade. So it's just like, it was so much for that time that you're just like, oh shit, how am I gonna, how are we gonna do all of this? And really this timing now, I've been working on this for 4 years.
Yeah.
And now the pandemic has hit, right now, right when we were getting ready to launch and have all this going on. So that was for sure challenging. I'm sure lots of businesses did, but we've certainly felt it too. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially the tutoring.
Oh my gosh.
I call it, we were policing. Are you online? I'm online. You're not paying attention. I can tell you're not paying attention.
Oh man, and it was so hard.
Because we had a 4th grade, 5th grade, 4th and 6th.
And teachers have a gift, and I do not have that gift.
Yeah.
And there were some challenging days for sure. Yes. Yeah.
But you kept working on the business throughout that time, or did you have to pause?
No, we did the best we could. There was certainly, you weren't able to spend as much time on it as I would have wanted. And it was just sort of ironic because I think it was, the day that I submitted the final payment for our first production run, was the day that my youngest was supposed to start 5K.
Oh.
And so that was supposed to be the day when, all 3 kids were in school for the same hours, the same spot for the same amount of time, and then, oh, just kidding. No, they're not. They're actually going to be home.
They're going to be home with you.
With you.
And you need to police them.
Yes. And my husband works from home too. So it's there's a lot of people in our house. It's a lot of people.
The Wi-Fi bandwidth is stretched to its limit.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, Erin, thank you.
Yeah, that went fast.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this before we truly sign off. Is there anything that you're like, my biggest lesson that if I could share with another entrepreneur, what would it be?
For so long, it's really funny to look back on it, but I kept things so close to the vest, and I was so reluctant to share and reach out and ask for help. When I first told my best friend about this idea and this business. You know, I was looking around my shoulder, making sure people didn't hear. You know, like ridiculous, right? Like no one is trying to poach your idea. Like this is your passion. Like no one is going to have this passion and this conviction that you do. You know, so don't be afraid to make the phone call and ask for a meeting, or to invite someone to coffee, or to go to somebody that is knowledgeable in your area. You know, I think I had this perception that I needed to have the answers, and I needed to have everything put together before I would reach out and connect with people in my industry or people that could help me. And so if I could I would tell people to don't buy into that perception that there are people who are so eager and so excited to help a new venture or to be a resource for you, that don't be scared to reach out and make that phone call, or don't be just
or go to that What's Up Brewing, or you know, the
tell a bunch
coffee
of
connections.
strangers.
Yes, go get involved and kind of just insert yourself into your community, whatever that looks like, because that's where I've gotten the most value. And I just kick myself for spending so many years just in my silo trying to figure it out on my own without, you know, not knowing. By expanding myself and opening myself up and sharing what we're doing, how much that would help. And so don't be scared to do that. Just go for it. Tell anybody about it, because the more people you talk to about it too, the more I feel like there's going to be an opportunity for new ideas or
it's a sounding board.
It totally is. And I don't know why for so long I was so reluctant to share.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you shared with us.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank
and
you for
hopefully
having me.
you can help some more people who are listening, and you know, part of our little tribe here.
Yes, call me. Call me.
That's right.
I'll have coffee with you if you're scared to have coffee with anybody else.
But yeah, you can hear Erin's story on our podcast, which you can find at all podcast platforms, your favorites. And you can also watch Erin if you'd rather not listen to a podcast, but rather watch us. You can get those in our local Innovate zines that are rolling out to the 3 South Carolina markets first, and then we'll be rolling out to cities across America.
Coming to a city near you.
That's right. But yeah, those digital digests are pretty innovative in itself, and we're excited to get people's feedback and create these communities, these stronger networks and these ecosystems within these cities.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. This is wonderful. I had so much fun. Thank you.
And thank you, everybody.